First and foremost, Thomas Nagel is claiming something very specific in his argument on sexual perversion. He is not proving that it exists, or that certain acts are without a doubt sexual perversions. He is not even arguing that sexual perversions are on their own a reason to stop engaging in them. He argues only to show that sexual perversions may exist, to disprove the arguments that there is no possibility of sexual perversion. He says that if it exists, that they would meet very specific criteria. They must be unnatural sexual desires or practices, that some practices will be perversions, some will not, and that some will be in question. And finally, that it must be a sexual inclination. He qualifies the criteria by denying that the unnaturalness in the first is influenced by reproduction or societal stigma. The first, he claims, is because, unless we want to apply sexual perversions to plants and lower-tier animals, perversion is a psychological phenomena, not a physical one. The second, he says, is because perversion is often grounds for disapproval, which implies that its criteria stems from elsewhere. Nagel says that if it meets these criteria, he proposes that it is a sexual perversion if it obstructs or breaks the mutual reciprocal layers of perception that is sexual attraction. He gives the basic form for this attraction in a non-chaotic, broken-down situation, while stating that sexual attraction does not have to happen this cleanly or orderly. He says that where first is sensing, the sexual arousal that is more than noticing of another. Then there is sensing of the other, who is also sensing. Then there is sensing of the other sensing you, and the sensual perception loop following. However, to allow the possibility of perversion, Nagel addresses the counter-arguments that deny the possibility of it. Sexual attraction as an appetite denies the existence of sexual perversion due to its is a desire, isn't a desire division. There is no room for perversion. Nagel counters this by applying the idea of perversion to another appetite, hunger. He uses several examples to illustrate the complexity of it, and single out the relationship between the person and the object of desire as reason for its perversion. Then Nagel works to disprove Sartre's view, whose existential philosophy is a base also for the argument of sexual perversion as a possibility. Sartre's argument states that sex is an attempt doomed to failure to satisfy existentially, and thus doesn't even address perversion. Argues that when sexual attraction happens in previously stated form, then it is existentially satisfying because it affirms the object and subject of one through the other and vice versa. Thus sexual desire, being more complicated than an appetite dichotomy, and possibly existentially satisfying, is capable of perversion when it meets a specific criteria and obstructs the ability to be existentially satisfying. I think that Nagel's argument is a good one. When examined and laid out, it seems to be well organized in general and with sound points and good examples. He does not make any inferences that did not follow in my eyes, and all of the examples were related and served to improve the argument and make it a little clearer. However, I didn't think that there was the clearest written argument language-wise. Nagel says in his essay he hopes to explain a point with less obscure language and more clearly than a statement Sartre made, and I'm not sure he succeeded entirely. There is the argument's only weakness, in my mind, though Nagel breaks the concepts down into easily understandable portions, that they were still unclear without reading and rereading several times, when, in different language, they could be easily understandable the first time.